monorepo can shines and how NX can be used with monorepo, like to build a monorepo standard. So moving ahead and looking at what is multi-repo at the beginning. So what is multi-repo? So multi-repo, as name suggests, it says that it will be a way of storing your code into multiple repository, a project wise. So throughout the session, I will be referring to three applications. Like the first application will be a Book My Cinema. So all the three applications are related to ticket management system, you can say. The Book My Cinema is the app where user can book a ticket. There is a ticket admin app that will be used by a particular admin to see how much sale they have made in particular country or area. And they can also see some dashboard kind of thing. And then we have some reusable code in between these two applications. And that reusable code has been stored on the NPM. And that NPM library is ticket booking library. So what it does is whenever it comes to use the reusable code, basically it install the library in both the repository and use it. Okay. So in multi-repository, the segregation is very good and all. So we will be looking at the exact pros and cons of multi-repo first, and then we will jump on monorepo. So let's move on to the multi-repo. What are the pros? So in multi-repo, the ownership is pretty clear. So we can from the versioning tool or whatever tool you are using for managing a repository like GitHub or Bitbucket, you can clearly set a different roles for a particular user, maybe admin role, not admin, but just read role, write role, or read write role, and multiple things. Also, for each separate repository, you can set up the CI rules that can be running on the different repository particularly. That is also clear. A rollback thing also becomes very easy because it's a single repository, right? So going back to the old version can be very easy by following Git flow or GitHub flow standard. Also, since it is separate repository, comparatively it takes small build time. Okay, so that was the pros. Let's come look at the cons. What are the cons that can be there? So the cons is CI/CD may become challenging in case multiple dependencies are there. What I mean by that is suppose your application is dependent on many third party or internal libraries or internal tool. So it becomes to maintain which version to use with your current framework or tool. So that becomes very challenging in multi-repo case. Also, it is very hard to maintain the dependency versions. What I mean by that is you have to keep eye, like suppose for example, I will give you a front end example with Angular 13. You cannot use TypeScript 3 point something, 3.x or something like that, because it may throw an error. So you have to also make sure that the dependencies are properly managed. And also when it comes to end-to-end test cases, it becomes little difficult to check complete dependent folder. For example, suppose you have shareable npm package and or a shareable component that's from shareable library. If you make a changes in that component, for example, table component, and that table component have been used in 100 different applications, what would happen? You have to test those 100 applications, right? In order to make sure that your other dependent application aren't changed. So this become a little bit cumbersome. Like how would you test that? You have to define some strategy and go with that. Maybe you will have some again some little bit advantage disadvantage here and there with approach, but you have to it's quite cumbersome to follow this approach. And also the code sharing may require extra effort and maintenance in terms of what has to. So basically take an example of npm package itself. So what happens is whenever there is any small change in shareable component, what you have to do, you have to go inside the that particular library, okay, and make a particular component change, then check it in, then you have to deploy it on npm, and then the project dependent on that npm library, they have to install it and use it. So this adds little bit of maintenance overhead, right? So let's look at the other part of it, like the multi-repo was multiple repository. Let's look at monorepo, or let's talk it as a single repo. So what basically this means is your complete application will be staying under same repository, one single repository. And this application can be structured in a such a way that they can easy to recognize. Okay, so let's look at the pros of single repository. The code sharing and maintenance are easy. When I say, the code sharing, the npm package library, you won't be keeping it separate. It will come under the same repository. Same way, you have a single source of truth. The complete repository at the same level. You can look at any code anytime. They will be on in sync, right? Then over here you can do better end-to-end test cases because dependencies will be somewhere aside where your repository is there. Same system with versioning becomes very simple with this approach. Also, it becomes very easy to refactor by checking the dependency graph, like what depends on what not, and if anything is in parent is changed, sorry, anything in child in change, then parent and their grandparent can be changed easily. Otherwise, it would let you know if you use proper tools properly. Also, it gives a better visibility across projects. Basically, what I mean by that is you can navigate through a complete code base and look at what could be going on behind the scenes in particular library or a package. So that's good thing. What are the cons with monorepo? So the cons is it has limitation around access control. Like we said in earlier multi-repo approach, there is a clear access control mechanism that we can do because they are separate repository. Over here, you cannot really do that. Then the other problem is it can take long build times because you directly involve the actual project in build time. So it can directly, it will eventually end up hitting more time for your build. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the consequences it has. So almost like you cannot really say multi-repo is best than monorepo and vice versa. But right now what we can see is monorepo is with good pros and some cons. And if we somehow, reduce that, if we somehow get rid of these two cons, then we are good, right? So okay, so let's move ahead and see who uses the monorepo right now. So monorepo has been used by big giants like Microsoft, Google, Airbnb, Uber, and also Facebook, Meta. So they are already using it. So it's not like this is new pattern and nobody is using this. So this has been used by big giant already. So that's nice. Let's move ahead and see what else has a monorepo. So monorepo is architecture that requires some tools to implement it. So basically it's a pattern, right? So what tools you can use? So there is one tool called as NX, then Lerna, then Bazel, Gradle. There are so many tools. Leg Rush is I think so by Microsoft. And there are so many tools that you can use. But out of this, in this session, we are going to use NX. So we will be focusing on NX. But before that, let's see if we can do the monorepo thing with Angular CLI or not. If you wanted to do that, so yeah, we can do that. Pretty much, we can achieve that, but with the feature called as Angular Workspaces. So how to do that? Suppose you want to create a project. So that time you can just say ng new then your workspace name and create application. And when you pass a false flag, it does not create any application in your project. Then you can just say, just navigate into the repository and generate an application called as my first app, and then generate a lib called as my lib. So basically what will happen is when you say application, Angular makes sure that Angular CLI makes sure that it creates an application that is runnable, like you can do ng serve. And when you say lib, lib is nothing but it is referring to a shareable code which can be deployed as a npm library, and you can use it in other projects as well. So just for now, assume that we need to create these two applications, and for that we will run these two commands. And once you run this command, this is how the folder structure may appear in the uh, in your uh, in your repository. So basically what will happen is you will have my workspace, as we said that create my workspace, and under that it creates a folder called as projects. And under projects it will have two things. One is my first app, which will be app, and my lib, which will be shareable library. So just keep one thing in mind. Whenever I say library, I mean shareable code. Okay. So this is how we can do right now with CLI, Angular CLI. But we need some better architecture, right? To so that because the project would grow over the time. So we need a good architecture. So there are other tools like Bazel or Rush and all whatnot. But we are going to use NX in this particular session. So why NX and what is NX? Let's look at it. So basically NX is a tool that helps to build apps in scalable way. We will look at how it helps to build an app in scalable way in after a few slides. And it also provides out of the box support for tools like Cypress and Storybook. You know, if you would want to do this kind of implementation of Cypress and Storybook inside your Angular CLI app, you would have to do a lot of wiring. You have to do initial setup and whatnot. But with NX, you just have to fire a few commands and that thing will be ready. And that's good, right? So NX give that support out of the box. If you look at the architecture of NX, internally it looks like this. So NX is completely built on top of Angular CLI. So you can see that internally Angular CLI uses Angular Dev Kit, which is core and schematics, and Angular CLI uses that. And on top of that, Narwhal is the company which maintains NX. So they have created a packages on top of CLI and Dev Kit, and they are somehow making sure that the tool is managing that thing behind the scenes. And on top of that, we have implementation plugins for all the frameworks like Angular, React, Svelte, and Cypress, Storybook, like I said. So that's good, right? So let's move ahead and see what else we have. You know, in earlier side, we have looked at three applications. Now let's try to move this three application inside. So those were three multiple repository, right? Let's try to move this three multiple repository in single or mono repo. Okay, let's look at this. So these are the three repository. Maybe we can name them as a book my cinema, then ticket admin, and then the ticket booking library. Okay, this was the npm library. We are not going to have an npm library, but they all will be staying at the same place. Before moving further, before executing command, I want to show you how this two application looks like and what component they are sharing. Okay, so let's go to the browser, and I have ran two applications. So this is the one and this is the other one. This one is book my cinema app. Okay, so this is all about movie. So what you can do is you can just, let me zoom in a little bit. You can just watch out a movie, what you want to see. Suppose I am fine with this movie. I will just go on here. I will check the details and I will book the show time somehow from this UI. And that is what this complete application is, book my cinema. Now, when it comes to the ticket admin, see, when I landed here, it landed on the dashboard page. On dashboard page, user can see in which area they got a good business and how they can improve it. So that's what it is. And they can also see how collection wise it earned. And then they can also manage show time by managing some UI. So complete data is stub. So it's, you may see the figures may be they are off a little bit, but just focus on the data. So if I look at the collection page, you can see that this particular card and the details. And when I click on this particular, uh, wait a minute, yeah. So when you look at this details, you will see that something is there, right? Something is there in the sense it's must be matching with the other app. See, is it the same UI? Yes, it is. The show times are also there. Are there show times? No, they are not there. But if you go to manage show times, you will see that it has movie and then the show times. Same way it is here, right? So most of the UI you will see that it is repetitively used everywhere else. So that's why we created a managed library. And one more thing maybe I can show you is once you type in, it shows some search results, and they both the application have that feature, right? I think it's not here, it's not working somehow, but yeah, it is working. So it is also here. So that is also a shared component. So that was it about the code. Let's move back to the slide. Now we were talking about how we can create an X workspace. So to create an X workspace, you can just run a command called as create workspace preset empty. So what will happen when you run this command? It will create an empty workspace, okay, with some name. Maybe I can just say ticket booking tool or something like that. And then like we have seen, Narwal or NX has created a plugins, core plugins for each implementation. So we have to install a core plugin called as Narwal / Angular in order to get the CLI feature for Angular. And then we can generate three things. The first thing is ticket admin app, which is the first one, which we have seen, this one. Sorry, this one. Then the Book My Cinema app. This is the second one app. And the third one is the library, which is reusable library. And that will be created as a library. That is why I have written lib over there, and other two are applications. So once you execute these three commands, this is what you will see on the UI. See what it has? It created two applications under apps folder. One thing you will see that it also have a test that are already there. Book My Cinema, E2E test. And I think those are Cypress test by out of the box. And also third one we said lib, right? So it created the lib folder under libs folder, the lib ticket booking library. So that was great. And it was easily, manageable. Like what are the apps? Those will be under apps folder, and the libraries will be in libs folder. That's cool. Let's move on and see how the current application architecture look like. So, but before going to this figure, I will give a look of what's happening on the code side. Okay, so let me move this here. Yeah. So as I said, like we have seen that, see, this is the application created by using the commands. It is exactly similar what we have seen in the screenshot. The first one is, it has few components and then the app routing and app module and all. The second one is ticket admin. It also has similar kind of structure. It has a components and the other app component app module. Now, the lib is little bit different. It has shareable things, shareable module, pipes, services, and some shared components. Okay, so they are shared by using called as ticket booking library.module.ts. Awesome, perfect. Now we have seen a little bit about how they are, right? Now, if you look at the detail of each folder, rather than showing the detail, I will show you the slides. So if you look at Book My Cinema app, it has 4 components. One is Home, Movies, Movie List component, and Movie Slider component. On home page, you can see some slider, right? Same way, the ticket booking app has 4 components. A charts component. On the first page, you can see some charts, then dashboard component, then collection component, and manage showtimes component. So these are the 4 components you can see here, and the most of the part is inside the shareable library. So the ticket booking library is the biggest one. It has so many component pipes, and some are the models, which is interfaces files. So that's great thing. Like this is how we have stored the code in a better way. But NX is kind of bit different. It is just not storing the code in monorepo. It's more than that. And we are coming to the point what exactly it is going to be do. So the mental model, how you can think about the NX. The thing is to think about NX. Suppose you have 3 apps. Likewise in our case we have 2 apps right now, but just consider we have 3 apps. So we will be having these 3 apps as a separately, and rest of the code will be lib. So for first app we have 2 lib. For second app we have, so first app 3 lib, 2 libs for second one, and third one have 1 lib. And also there are a few more libs which are usable around the applications, right? And they are internally using third-party library. So this is how the general application structure looks like. But with NX, what you will see, the interesting thing is your app code will be 10 to 20% only. And rest of the code that you will be having, that will be inside libs. Meaning most of the 80 to 90% code you will be writing up inside a lib. And what you will do is you will get those lib one by one, whatever you needed, and you will be creating apps. Like suppose I have app 4 and maybe app 4 need 2 more lib, and it can also use few libs from here. So that is also possible, right? So basically app basically do a wiring part to see or choose which library to want to use, and the rest of the part will be done by lib itself. So that's the shareable thing we keep. Okay, so that's the one way of thinking about NX. So that's not just a mental model. One more thing which you have to keep in mind when it comes to NX is NX has a folder structure, a little bit of maybe you have to you have to concentrate on this particular thing because it is very important. The more details can be found in the reference link that have been given here, which is relating to books. So what the folder structure we can follow. So whenever you create any lib inside NX, it can have a folder name called as feature. When we say feature folder name, it means a page or a component that loads via route. So the component those are reachable via route that comes under feature folder. Okay, that's right. The second one is UI folder. So what it means is whenever any feature or any component that is not loaded via route, that component generally considered as a UI component. It could be like model or small piece of repetitive content. Okay. Then the next one is shell folder. When you have your components or libs inside shell folder. So shell folder generally refers to route. Whenever you have a route module, it will be placed inside shell folder. Awesome. A data access folder can only be having, when your services are dealing with HTTP call, those services will be kept inside data access folder, which is another lib. And a store is, it can be, if you have any state management, it can go inside the store. And the last one, the models meaning what is the interface or the classes that you require to make sure that the code is TypeScript safe. So type safe. So you will have a model folder. And these are the only 6 folders that maximum you have to make sure you understand them completely. And then you can just do if this mental model is very much understandable by you, like you are okay to go with NX, and you can structurize very well your application. It depends. If you have utils, then you can create a utils folder or some other folder by your own way, but mostly you should follow this architecture. This should be sufficient. The next thing is uh, like we learned, right, how to define a mental model. Let's try to apply this mental model somewhere. Okay, somewhere meaning, let's take an example. Suppose I have a route called as manage show times, and that manage show times route loads a component called as manage show times component. Okay, and the component HTML somewhat looks like this. It has a container, and inside container it is rendering some preview card and show times card. For more simplification, let me show you one more thing. Manage showtime component and rendered HTML I can show you, right? So let me zoom in a little bit so that it can be better to see. See, manage showtime component, it has two things. It has BMC preview card component, which is the image that you can see with title, and the show times is nothing but what time the show is. Today it is on 10:20 a.m. and 11 a.m. and whatnot. So this is the two things, those are there. Now, if I ask you, how would you apply this mental model over this particular HTML? How would you think about that, or a component? So remember one thing I told you, whatever component that has been loaded via route, which will go to feature folder. So what is feature here? So the manage showtime component is feature. What else we have? We have two more component. One is BMC preview, BMC movie preview card and BMC showtime card, right? Right. So where this component will go? Are this component loaded via route? No. Are this component a small part of page, like a reusable component? Yes. So they will go inside UI folder, right? So the first one will go inside feature folder. The next one will go inside UI folder. What about BMC show times? It is also a component that is a small piece that could be a repetitively used most of the places. So yeah, it will also go inside UI folder. Can you see more? Like, is there anything else that is remaining that can go inside any particular specifically anything out here? Yeah, it can. So what? The the part where the route is configured, this route configuration can go inside the shell folder. Yeah, that is the thing which was missing. So these three are pretty much you will be have to figure out pretty well. Other things are pretty simple, as like your data access will have a services and all. So let's begin and let's try to simplify our application into multiple lib. Okay, so how we can do that? Let me move back to the code, VS Code, and let's focus on what we want to migrate. So if you look at Book My Cinema application, okay, it has app, and inside app we were thinking about to migrate. Sorry, this a part of, let me check. It is a part of ticket admin. Ticket admin has a manage show times, right? We are thinking about to move that component, right? So let me minimize this. Let me go to the ticket admin app, open the app folder and see where is the show times component. So it's here. Okay, showtime components. It's already been written. Now what we will be doing is we will be creating a lib for this. And we already said that the manage showtime component can go inside feature folder. Okay. And the other two, preview card and showtime, will be in UI folder. Okay, nice. So let's do that quickly. So to do that, first thing we have to keep in mind is we have to create lib. So to create a lib, a command can be fire is nx generate lib or library. And what will be the library name now? So the library that I want to create, that would land inside a libs folder, right? We have already one library. We are going to segregate that as time goes on. So what will be the library name? I am going to keep the library name as movies slash maybe a feature called as manage showtimes. Okay, rather than movies, I will say something. Now you will ask, hey, why we just thought about just keeping the name feature? Why you just introduce something else before? So one more folder name I gave because because to understand that the feature that we are writing where it is referring to, right? So that's why I gave movie has a feature called as manage showtimes. Okay, so this is the way you can create library. See, as soon as you do enter, see what happens now. It created a folder where under libs because we created library. What that lib folder has, it has a particular structure where it makes sure that the jest is configured. Okay, the jest is configured and your component has a module. Your lib has a module, right? So let's try to rename a little bit to say that it should be more understandable. So I'm just renaming it to manage showtime, and let's rename here to manage showtimes module.ts. Right now we don't have anything else in this lib. Okay. So basically library is kind of reusable thing that we did just now. Okay, now what we have to do? We wanted to move this particular, where is that? A manage showtime lib component. So I'm going to copy this particular folder. Okay. And use it inside this lib that we just now created. So I'm keeping it inside lib folder, right? Nice. So we just did that now. And what we have to do now? So one more thing which I would like to mention here is whenever I'm doing anything with lib, I'm making sure that I'm following a scam pattern. So what is scam pattern? Those who don't know, scam pattern is a pattern. The full form of scam pattern is single component angular module. I can write it down here. Single component angular module that resides to scan, right? Scam. And what this pattern does is it makes sure that your component is isolated. So each component will have its own module. Okay, so we created a module for our component. And what else? Like when you have a module for your component, it should have a declaration, right? So define a declaration. Declaration will have your component that name is manage showtimes. And also you should be making sure that in order to make sure that your module should be used by some other people, so it has to be exported. So that's why we also wrote exports. Awesome. Now what imports will have? Imports will have those dependency that is being used by the manage show times. So let's scan over the HTML. What we have ngif directive. So that comes from common module. Then we have ng4 directive that also come from common module. A sync pipe comes from common module. We have something different now. We have BMC movie preview card component and BMC showtimes component, right? So let's see from where they are coming from. Like, okay, I found a component which define the selector. And if I try to see the hierarchy, it is coming from which folder? Shared folder, right? And shared folder must have shared module. So they are coming from shared module. So we have to write that down here. Shared module. Save it. Okay, nice. So we have successfully created so far a manage showtimes component inside a library with its own module. Okay, and everything is compiling properly, right? Now let's go back to ticket admin component, right? How this component was configured? It must be configured via routing. So let's look at the routing. Okay, when it was configured, what had happened is it was being configured via a manage showtime component that loaded from the components folder. Okay, now we don't want to refer here, right? We have to refer somewhere else. Where we want to refer? We want to refer to manage showtimes component. Yeah. So just one note I would like to mention is whenever you generate any library, make sure that you restart TypeScript server so that the new library that you will be created that can be applicable as an import. Oh, this one still not applicable. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. So any guess why this is not happening? So basically, when we created a lib, which one? The lib inside manage showtime component. It has something called as export index.ts barrel file, which makes sure that from lib what should be exported, what can be accessible to the user, the consumer. So we also have to make sure that the component file is also exposed. So I just save that and now I am trying to see what happens on the routing part. So let's do that. I'm just trying to import the movies component. See, automatically type NX makes sure that it gets the package from the exact location. So ticket/booking is a alias for your complete application, and then it goes inside the libs movie/feature and your particular feature. I just imported that and let's see what happens. There will be interesting error, I believe. Okay, that works pretty well. So let's see what appears on the UI. Let me refresh the page of Book My Cinema. Not Book My Cinema, but the ticket admin, right? Let me refresh the page. Okay, I just refreshed the page. I'm going to see whether my file got loaded or not from the specified location. What will be the file name? Manage showtimes component.cs. Can you say that? Can you see that? Now the component has been loaded from the libs movie feature manage showtime and whatnot. What we specified, right? So that's good thing. We just migrated one particular component to a shareable resource, right? That's good thing. Let's delete this now. This is of no use because we just moved it somewhere else. So to delete that, I just deleted it from here, and also it must be somewhere inside appmodule.ts. And I think so. Again, it should be okay. It was there only. Let's save it and let's check whether the application is running or not. Yeah, it is running. Great. So let's move ahead and let's try to do more. What else we have? We just migrated this one, right? What else we have? We have one more thing, two more things. One is BMC, this preview card component, and BMC showtimes component. So for now, just migrate this BMC preview card component. Okay, let's do that quickly. So now what I will do. So as I said, you have to decide on little bit of architectural perspective. So what will happen is, now tell me what is preview card component? If you look at this slide again, it is UI, right? Because it's a reusable piece of component. So it will go under which folder? Under movie UI and then a preview card, right? Because we already said movie in the folder name. So we will just say preview card. Okay. And let's generate a library once again. Let's see where it has been generated. So it generated a library under the movie folder, under the UI folder called as preview card. And again, same way, we will be saying preview card module.ts, same way, just changing the naming convention so that we will be, everybody will be on the same page, right? Okay, now what will happen? Same step. Where is preview card component? Let's check it. This one, right? Where it is? This was in shared, I think so. Yeah, it was in ticket booking library shared folder, right? Just try to copy this all files and move it inside where that particular library just now we created. Nice. Now go inside movie card preview model and let's try to declare and export it so that the consumer of this module can use it. So what it will have, declaration will have a movie preview card component, right, from current component, and same thing should be said as a export member. Okay, now we go around and we'll see what dependency it uses. Okay, this is nice question. So we will scan the HTML first from top to bottom. Do we have any directive here? No, right? It has click element, which is okay. Common module can have it. Router link directive is the one, maybe we need a router module to import. Then move ahead. We have something called as preview. This is ng template, that should be okay. So I think so we need a router module here extra. Let's scan the component.ts. Okay, this one. Hey, what it has? But there is some error. Let me re-import it because we moved the file directly. It made a problem. Okay, let's see what we have. So do we have any dependency? Okay, yeah, we have a dependency called as bootstrap model service, and that is coming from ngx bootstrap model. So basically we need two dependencies, so that has to be there. So one is bs model, I think so, module, yeah, that's right, and the router module, that's the second one, right? Cool. Now we created our component. Now we have to see whether we are getting any error or not. Okay, so far no error because we haven't used this module, this component yet on any place, right? So let's try to use this where we have to use that. Let's go to the preview card component. Let's see how many places it has been used. It must have been used at 2 places, right? So what you have to do is basically you will keep so I think so I check my time. I think I have 10 minutes or 15 minutes in hand. I will try to do this first in next 4 minutes, and if I cannot do, then I will skip it and I will show the end figure because this takes time. Yeah. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try to replace this part. Which places? 2 places, right? First is manage show times. So let's go to the manage show time component, and it has its own module, right? I told you whenever a component has to deal with some module, those has to be imported here. Let's quickly restart the server and preview card module, right? I just imported it. What was the other place? It has movies grid component. Let's see where is the movies grid component. So movies grid component is inside shared folder and shared module. So we have to make sure that the movies grid component is preview card component is loaded here as well using importing module. So save this. Everything else is okay. Now we have to get rid of this movies card component from here, right? That's the main thing. Otherwise it will duplicate the code. Let's delete that. Okay, we started getting some errors. Okay, that's okay. And also we have to make sure that it should be removed from here as well, shared module, right? Okay, cool. What else is there? Let's look at the errors. It is saying that shared showtime component in shared module using something called as day, and that's creating an issue. Okay, and let me check what we just migrated. We migrated, right? What we migrated just now, a preview card, right? A preview card component HTML, right? It is okay. Let me look at the error once again. Okay, there are two issues. See something here. See, we removed something, but we forgot to remove the reference from some index.ts. So I'm going to remove that. Is there anything else? Oh, see, that solved the issue. And now we can go on to the browser and check from where the preview card loaded. So let's check this one, whether the preview card loaded or not. So yeah, movie preview card is loaded. Let's see from what location. Preview card dot component. It is loaded from libs. So similar way you can move on and you can migrate each component one by one. Okay. And at the end of the day, what will happen is I'm going to revert back everything because I cannot migrate the complete project from Angular to NX because it will take a lot of time. So let me rerun the application. This one as well as this one. This one ran. This one is running again. So everything runs. Now there is no difference. Earlier, you know what we had? We had so many things at single place, right? Before this, right? This one. So after refactoring, after following the NX standard to match up this way, see what we have now. So let me migrate to the final repository, final branch here. Okay, maybe I have to rerun again. Okay, run. That's it. Yeah. And now you will see that there will be so many less things. So let's look at what we have in Book My Cinema folder application. If you open the app.file, it has so many components, right? You can see we have migrated all the components inside lib. Now we don't have anything else inside my app folder itself. Okay, that's cool. Let's look at the ticket admin. Same thing, right? Now let's look at the libs. See, now libs has so many things. Like I have a chart folder. Under the chart folder, I have two charts. Nice. Then you can see that a movies folder, which is what we are more interested in. A feature, which means what are the routes that we have used. So details, home and movies. These are the three routes you can see somewhere. And UI is the component that are the small piece. So UI components are here inside the lib folder. Okay. Same way you will see that and inside shared, we have so many components, but that as a lib. Okay. Same component, but lib. Cool. Then shell, what I told you about shell is going to be a routing. So for Book My Cinema application, we have a shell and Book My Cinema routing. See how it look like. The routing moved from app routing.ts to here. Same way we move a routing from app ticket admin app routing.ts to here shell ticket admin dot this thing. So this way you will see that the complete almost 90% of app is inside libs and the other app, the apps is very lightweight. If you look at the app module.ts, you will understand what exactly happening. I will just close this down. And if you look at this, it just have a one component, app component. Okay. And what it has, it's just a plain component that have few components like a nav bar and then a router outlet and then footer. nothing else. And everything else come via, the routing comes via this shell, and everything else comes via this particular module, set of modules that have been loaded here. And that's what it is like. That's why we said that in the slide, we have 10% in app folder, which are just a wiring of libs, and the 90% or 80% code will be inside a lib only. So we looked at the mental model, we did some refactoring, and then after migration, you can see that things look like this. That's pretty interesting, right? And trust me, this also, this also helps you to segregate your library as well as the whole application high level overview. If someone wants to do anything, they can just build a reusable feature. And if you follow the scam pattern, you are also good to develop an isolated component. And maybe a futuristic thing can be a standalone component can be easily migratable. Like scam can be easily migratable to standalone components. So NX is just beyond monorepo. So I think I will take 5 minutes more. So NX is just beyond a monorepo. Why I say that? Because out of the box it supports Cypress and Storybook. Again, when you use NX Cloud that comes with NX, you will see that it follows something called as computational cache. If you build an application now, it may take a minute, but for next build you just change few files, like 2 or 3 files. The next computational build will be very faster because it uses something called as computational cache that which tends to run the next build with less changes, like maybe within a 10 second that can happen, and that is very good win. NX also have something called as NX graph, which helps to visualize how your libs are related or apps are related. They are consuming the libs. Also, you can just run whatever code change that you made. So only the affected code changes related file will run. You don't have to run complete test suite to see what exactly had happened. Then there are few more features, like you can have NX console, which is kind of a CLI in UI way, and you can also set up boundaries between your libraries, because some libraries are core libraries, right? And some are like shared libraries. So whenever it comes to consumption, there should be some rule, like the core libraries cannot be directly consumed by the features or something like that. So you can maintain some kind of rules in NX, which can come inside a workspace.json, I believe. And this is how the reusability shines with NX. And uh, you can see that how the shareable things, we have moved everything to the shareable things, which is libs. Yeah, so that was a pretty much what we have achieved in using NX, and you can find the code on this particular repository link. I will share the slides in later part. Yeah, and that's what pretty much I have in this session, like how NX is great to build things. So just one thing which I want to remind in uh, cons of monorepo, I have mentioned that a build time is longer. So NX makes sure that the build time is smaller by using something called as computational cache and incremental build. And also there was one more thing is uh, some access issues related thing, right? So they cannot really they cannot really control that, but there is something called as repository CI rules that you can add and make sure that the things are not going in wrong direction. So yeah, that was it, and I think so. I hope you have understood about NX, and maybe you are looking forward to use it in your next Angular application or migrate the current application step by step in NX. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. These are some references that I have used throughout. So yeah, Ashan, I think I'm
Pankaj,
done.
two question.
Yeah, sure.
Two question is there. They are in the chat window, and I'm requesting the audience, if do you have any question, you can um, put it into the event site or put it into the meeting chat window. We have already two questions for you.
Okay. So wait, where I can see that? I don't know. Can you just tell me the question?
Yeah, these are in the chat window, and I'm I'm how will you manage changes in package?
Okay. So in Monorepo, the package will not, you can deploy the package as a NPM package, but the fundamental behind the Monorepo is the reusable library will be staying on the same repository. What I mean by that is, let me share my screen again. Sorry about that. Uh, so see, earlier I told you, right? The shareable library was deployed on NPM. Now that library won't be deployed on NPM. It will be on the single repository. See, what is the meaning of monorepo? All the project repository will be staying under the same folder or same repository. So see, these are the two different projects. Even though they are two different projects, they are staying at the same folder or same repository, right? Same way, the shareable npm repository will be there, and it is there inside your libs folder somewhere. You don't have to deploy it or you don't have to publish it, and you are just, whenever you want to use it, just import it and use it everywhere. So what benefit you would get out of it? Whenever any changes happen on any reusable library, you can just run your test that you have created, a spec.ts files. If anything is breaking, you will get to know if anything is breaking any from anywhere. If not, then you are good to go. And what happens is, by using monorepo, you make sure that all complete code is single source of truth, meaning if you upgrade anything, if you upgrade angular to angular 14, everything will be on the same page. All the application will be using the same version of any code, like they will be sharing the same code base. Yeah. So that's what I would say, that say on that. So is that
You,
answer your question?
thank you, Pankaj. Second question is how many packages are there?
Okay, so which packages can I ask? Like I did not get the question completely.
Actually, so far I see on the event page,
Okay.
this is the question.
Okay, so I may try to, if you get any comment there, then you let me know. Still, I got something out of it. I may try to explain. So over here, when I say package, or when you may be saying package, it was NPM package earlier, because in multi-repo case, you have a different repository. And if you want to reuse something, that can only be reused via npm package. So that's why we had package, npm package. But in monorepo case, there won't be any package. The package will be so what I'm saying is, there is no packages. There are no
Okay.
packages. And only the thing that you will be doing is, for your deployable product, you will be creating a build file and you will be deploying. Yeah. Yeah, Shan, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Uh, I think I think it will be very good for him who has asked the question.
Okay.
Uh, Thank you very much, Pankaj, for your nice presentation. I think it will be very much helpful for the Angular developer.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, feel
and
free to ask any question if you have. You can follow me
yeah,
on Twitter and ask me. And also, I'm going to share the code and slides to Ashan. He will shoot an email to
okay.
community. Okay.
Okay. Also, I will share your contact. So contact Twitter,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
that if anyone have any question further, he may ask you directly. And next thing is that the session is recorded and we will upload it into our YouTube community page. So who are not currently present in the session, they will can, yes, view on the YouTube.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Pankaj. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
thanks.
time
Thanks.
and effort. Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye for today.
Yeah, bye. Yeah.
We We have the latest current version of Angular. Uh, So now we are going to move on to our next session. Our next speaker is Shuhash, and the in last month, 2nd of the June is Angular 14 has released, and I think it will be a nice session for who wants to know more about the what are the new features and functionalities are there in Angular 14. So Shuash will help us on this, and Shuash will take a session of 1 hour by it's a complete session, and I think you will be aware about the new features and functionality. Thank you, Shuash, for your um, session. Shuash, now you can share your skin.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Can you able to see my screen now?
No, Shwaz. Yeah, now we can see your skin. Thank you,
Okay.
Shwaz, for joining our community event. And I want to introduce Mr. Shuhash. He's our MVP colleague, and he's taking many more sessions in India. And I think he will rock today's session, and the audience will be helpful very much to know the what are the new features, functionalities, and he can implement in his project. Thank you, Shuash. Please carry on your
Yeah. So
presentation.
thanks, Asan. So thanks for the introduction. So hello guys. So good day everyone. And first of all, I appreciate your interest. I know it's Saturday evening. Everyone have their own plans, right? Going out. There will be new movies or parties, etc. But apart from it, you thought to spend this 4 hours to learn something new. So that interest, like I appreciate it, and please continue it. So I wouldn't say spend every weekends on learning something new. Just spend 2 or 3 weekends on learning something new. Definitely, when you see it, at long term, like it will be very much